The last third of this book has largely been a confusing mess, but I will say that the last 30 pages are gold. Elfangor morphs human and stays that way permanently. He attends college, aces it of course, and he and Lauren fall in love and get married. They discover that Chapman is alive, but has no memories of anything that's happened, making him being in the book totally pointless. Oh, and this happens. I met a lot of humans who are working on the computer field. My human friend Bill used to come over to my room and we would exchange ideas. It was hard for me to simplify my knowledge enough for him to follow. Everything had to be explained in simple human terms, using words like window to explain a childishly simple concept. And my human friend Steve thought it was a huge breakthrough to use symbolic icons in a simple pointer rather than a lot of complex language. Yep, then Elfangor and Lieutenant Dan buy a shrimping boat and... years pass. One day, Elfangor returns from work to find a strange man in his house. He identifies himself as the Ellimist, and he's here to make things right. Am I really the Ellimist? The man asked, mocking. Let's see. I know that Arbron still lives in the tunnels of the living hive. I know that you made a universe once, you and the human and the Yeerk called Visor 3. I jerked in surprise. Visor 3? Yes, he's advanced quite far in the Yeerk hierarchy. He should be dead. Should be dead? Do you really think you can play games with time itself? Do you think you can change things around to suit you and not make a mess of it? Are you so naive, Andalite, that you can't understand that time is a trillion strands, all woven and interwoven, that if you twist and break one strand, it may have unforeseen effects on 1,000 other places in time? The Ellimist gives Elfangor a choice. Stay on Earth, which will surely be taken over by the Yeerks, or return to Andalite form, have his existence on Earth be erased and Lauren's memories wiped, and go back to the war, giving Earth a fighting chance. But this situation turns out to be much like the one the Ellimist gave the Animorphs in number 7, The Stranger, where only the illusion of choice is given, with the Ellimist only giving our hero partial information. Elfangor eventually agrees, and the Ellimist whisks Elfangor away, leading to one of the most heart-wrenching scenes the series ever had. Once, a long time ago, I had explained to Lauren what it must be like to see the universe as the Ellimist saw it. And now, as the Ellimist lifted me out of the everyday world of 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time, I saw what he saw. When I had used the time matrix, I glimpsed the lines of time interwoven, but now I saw 1,000 times more. It was beyond sight, beyond sound. It was some new sense, some new awareness. I could feel the lines of time flowing through me. I could feel and taste and hear and touch and smell 1 billion possibilities, all flowing through me. I saw the Ellimist himself, as he really was, an indescribable being of light and time and space, huge but without a place, alone but not the only one of his kind. I saw and understood the vast power that trailed the lines of time to his grasp, and yet, against the enormity of all that had ever been and all that would ever be, I saw his limits too. The Ellimist was mighty, but not all-powerful. I saw a young Andalite who looked like I had once, so serious, so determined to prove himself. I heard his name in my mind, Eximli Ascaris Istel. Hello, little brother, I said silently. I saw Arbron, still alive on the Taxon world. I felt his Taxon hunger. I also felt his Andalite pride. Hello, Arbron. You become the hero I always wanted to be. I saw Lauren, and wrapped around her timeline now was another human who would be her mate. I had been written out of her memory. It tore at my heart to realize that I was now a stranger to her. And yet, I saw that some part of my own timeline still intersected her own. I still touched her future in some way. My line and hers converged, and those 2 lines became a new line, just emerging, just beginning to grow. What does it mean? I asked the Ellimist. You have a son, Elfangor. In a flash, I saw the truth. That's why Lauren had gone to see the doctor. She would have come home and told me. We had a child. No, you can't take me away. I have a son, I cried. That changes everything! Don't take me away! You are away, Elfangor Cyrano Shamtel. What was broken has been repaired. You are where you must be. The child will be raised as the son of another. Elfangor emerges as an Andalite on an Andalite fighter in the middle of a Yeerk-Andalite space battle, thankfully sans asteroids that eat spaceships. The Andalites are getting their asses kicked, and Elfangor, in a mix of confusion, depression, and the realization that it wouldn't do much just to go around shooting things, decides to just ram the blade ship straight on, which damages it enough to turn the tides in the battle. Elfangor survives somehow, and awakens a hero. He tells his story to an Andalite official, who tells them it must be kept under wraps, that the Andalites need a hero to look up to. Time passes, and Elfangor becomes the most noted hero in the war, which brings his character arc to an end. We began this book with a nobody in the Andalite army who wishes to be great, and we end with him reaching greatness and not wanting any of it. Elfangor's actual actions during the war are glossed over, because this is Elfangor's dying thoughts, and these actions mean nothing to him. We end the book where we started, with Elfangor dying in the construction site. We learn why he landed there in the first place. See, it wasn't by chance. It was in this spot that Elfangor took the time matrix and buried it. In his final moments, Elfangor has opted to run away once again. But that's no longer an option. So as Yeerk's ships surround him, as he is mere minutes away from his death, Elfangor reflects on the boy he just met, a scraggly blond boy named Tobias, his son. Post-book follow-up. You know what I'd really like to find? An adult who read Animorphs in its original run. Oh, I've met plenty of people who read it who are now adults, but I want a unique perspective on this. The series ended just a few months before September 11, and in today's day and age, after the Middle East debacle, many of us understand how our media attempts to manipulate and lie to us. In terms of Animorphs, we saw in number 8 the alien when whatever constitutes the Andalite media makes Axe into a scapegoat to protect Elfangor's legacy. We saw in number 12 the reaction when the Yeerks attempted to use cultural icons to manipulate people. And we see it at the end of the Andalite Chronicles, when the Andalites turn Elfangor into a hero when he really didn't do anything in this book besides run away from his problems. This theme may seem more obvious to us in a world where the cable news networks directly attack each other, and we have the internet to suss these things out as a community. But what was there prior to when the Animorph books came out? Was it really that obvious during Vietnam and the Cold War? I ask because I honestly don't know. Maybe some older viewers can clear it up for me. I think K.A. Applegate, and when I say K.A. Applegate, I have always meant the writing collaboration between Catherine Applegate and Michael Grant, feel like she's bringing up something that wasn't totally obvious prior to where we are now. That leads into the main themes of all the 4 Chronicles books. Everything you know is wrong. History and myth have lied to you, and this is the truth. Up to this point, all the characters, including Axe, treated Elfangor as if he were a great warrior of light, a legend to be looked up to. The truth is, he was a scared young cadet who fell into his role totally by accident by slightly nefarious means. The Chronicles books are a harsh slap in the face of us who hold various historical and cultural icons up for worship. For example, Lincoln was generally considered one of the greatest American presidents of all time, mainly because we attributed some of the more famous results of the Civil War to him. But when you actually study what the man personally did, you start finding a shitload of blemishes. Elfangor's story arc is what makes this book so worthwhile. On its own, this book would score somewhere around a 9 or a 10. However, Chapman was a big mistake. The third act jumped into the silly side of the pool and never looked back. Aliens with wheels, living asteroids that eat spaceships, that all kind of sucks. On its own, I'd give a score for that stuff about a 2 or a 3. Together, they form a book with a lot of good stuff, but a lot of sludge to work through as well. In the end, I give the Andalite Chronicles a 7 out of 10.